I have this theory that the people who do the hat on in the weird direction and the right up there with the people who do the weird lip piercing, which is they're fucking with you. Like, it's antisocial. First off, it's saying, here's how most people wear their hat. I don't wear my hat that way. I wear it in a super uncomfortable, unattractive way that does nothing for me, and it shades the side of my neck. It does not keep the sun out of my eyes. It doesn't keep the hair out of my face. I will fuck myself up. It's right up there with I wear my pants somewhere around mid-crack line, like about half ass crack mass, like my balls died and my pants are flying at half crack. Like, first off, you think it's comfortable to wear pants that are around your fucking hips?
How can you even walk like that?
If a fucking car came around a corner, you'd get run over, and I'd be the first one cheering, by the way. Yeah. No, it's not comfortable to wear your hat. I wear ball caps all the time. They're sort of shaped to fit your head, which does kind of have a direction to it. It's
not just sort of.
Yeah, it's not a beach ball. It's got a little shape to it. And the hats and the caps are made. When you pull them sideways, it's kind of like wearing, it's like wearing underpants where you're going to, stick a leg through where the waist would go and put the leg up around your waist. Like, it's fucking uncomfortable. Now, that's uncomfortable. Also, having multiple hoops through your lower lip. I do not believe aids in your eating, lovemaking, your speech and debate class. It does not help you get a job.
Yeah,
it doesn't help you do anything.
Could help with ziplining.
It's a very subtle way and not so subtle way of going, fuck you. I'm uncomfortable. I want you to feel my discomfort. I want you to feel discomfort. This hat, it's an apparel equivalent to you having a booger that's going in and out of your nose as you laugh like a piston, or you having a piece of broccoli on your front tooth. It's fucking me up. And I know, but the broccoli and the booger you're unaware of. The hat you're in charge of. And you know what you're saying. It's antisocial. It's fuck you. And the lip thing, it's forcing me to go, ow, that looks like it hurts. And then I have to do what if that got caught on something? And then I do that, what if you're eating one of those little mini chops, those little lamb chops? It's like appetizer, you get sauté. You get the sauté spear, and it like somehow goes through there, and it pulled away or something. Or
I'd actually managed to never think about that. But now I feel yucky.
Now you're forced to.
Yeah.
Right. This is an antisocial, fuck you, think about me, and this. And there's a million versions of it. There's a million. There's a tattoo version of it. There's a piercing version of it.
There's a hair color version.
I'm going to wear my hat. I'm going to wear my hair. I'm going to take the fucking baffles out of the pipes of my Harley so you can hear me. There's a hear me, look at me, see me, feel me thing. And my thing is, just fuck off.
You've got it locked to HTLA Radio 1, New York.
This program is intended for mature audiences only. If you have any homicidal or suicidal feelings, please consult a doctor before listening to this program.
Don't listen to that man. He doesn't know what the heck he's talking about. He just doesn't. Don't call your doctor. It's money well saved. Yes, there's no fear of anything wrong here. Move along. Go on about your business. Nothing to see here. Because, of course, this is radio, so, of course, we don't have anything to see here. Yeah. Well, welcome. It is 3 p.m. Eastern in New York City, and, of course, you are listening to me, so that means you are tuned to HTLA Radio 1, New York's best talk. And that would also mean that it's time for the Tuesday Espresso here on Coffee and Cigarettes. That's right. Yes, it is. I'm going to say it's a mediocre show today. Yeah, there we go. It's welcome to the mediocre show. No, it's actually a good one. I'm only kidding. Well, today in the coffee shop, we look at no respite from the snow this month. Nope. You thought you were going to get a break for spring? Wrong. Not happening. Also, some 911 operators who are getting their walking papers. Literally. Yeah. They're being made to work their shifts Walking on a treadmill. Yeah. I don't know. Does that count for maybe a pay increase? You know, there's extra duties now, it seems. Also, same-sex marriage is rearing its ugly head and being discussed again by sociologists. Will there be any sense made of it all? Like ever? I don't know. Well, the sociologists seem to think they've got it all taped down with duct tape. We've got all that and much more for this Tuesday afternoon, so come on in and grab a cup, have a seat. And indeed, ladies and gentlemen, light one up because it's coffee time. Well, there it is. Yes, the theme music we all know and love. Good afternoon and welcome to another fine coffee and cigarettes for HTLA Radio 1 New York's Best Talk. Tuesday the 3rd of March, actually, today, 2015. 31 degrees right now in Central Park and cloudy. One whole degree away from freezing. Yes, so I don't know, maybe someday soon we'll get out of freezing? No, not going to happen. No. We'll look at that today. Yes, we will, along with other fun and joyous things. But hey, first of all, I got some station business. Number one. Yes, the bouncy, beautiful blonde girl is in the booth. The one, the only Jenny McCartney, the social media goddess herself. Pushing all those buttons, making the show go. Yeah. And we've actually had some fan email. They want us to bring back the Russian lessons. I don't know if we're going to do that today, but yeah, I guess we'll bring them back if that's what the listeners want, right? So she's in the booth, pushing those buttons, making us go, working on that PreSonus gear, because of course we are a PreSonus broadcast studio. Thanks to the 2442 digital mixer from PreSonus. Check them out, presonus.com. Also, the show is brought to you today and every day by the fine folks at Tim Hortons, New York City. Now with 8 locations to serve all of your coffee and baked goods needs. And man, let me tell you something. That's some killer stuff right there. Yeah, not that 7-hour-old stuff you'll get at the drive-thru at Dunkin'. No, we don't, homie, don't roll that way. That's what I'm going to say. How's that? Yeah, homie? No? I don't know. Yeah, so also joining us on the show, of course, as always, is our guests / co-hosts, I guess they are. And always first up on the show is, well, the one, the only. He needs no introduction. Louis Lawless of LDL Films. What to say about him? 30-year history working for Stephen J. Cannell Television in Los Angeles. 40-year film and television veteran, maker of countless films and documentaries, including, well, the last one I worked on with him was The Diary in 2010, which was a dramatization of his very successful documentary, Unrepentant, in 2008. And he joins us every day on the show. Yes, he does. He was also my film mentor, the man who taught me directing for film and television. And he's here on the show today via satellite because I'm not allowed to say he's just on the phone because he's more important than that. The one, the only Louis Lawless, all the way from beautiful Mill Bay Studios in beautiful Mill Bay, British Columbia, Canada. Louis, are you there, sir?
Can you give me any help for $25,000?
Yes, always and of course.
You know how to spell my last name on the check, right? It's Louis Lawless.
That's correct.
Wait a minute, I got lost. H-T-L-A. Oh, H-T-L-A. Hell is that?
Well, sir, that's your career going down the drain, and that's why we can get you.
Oh, can we cuss? Can I cuss as I always do on the show?
Yes. And joining us also from his beautiful apartment in Manhattan, right here in downtown New York City, is the one, the only, Mr. Gilbert Gottfried. Huh?
Yes.
Yes, there you are. You're here.
Yes.
Oh, and you know that signature laugh, don't you? That's George Takei from his home in Los Angeles, California. George, thank you for being here.
I think it's a treat to be here talking with you.
Well, yeah, and you're just here for Gilbert, I know.
Yes.
Well, there you go. There you have it. Now, Gilbert, you like to sing this song, and of course, the song that you sing is, well, it's part of that whole that show, the series of films you did, Problem Child 2, and the made-for-television motion picture Problem Child 3. And I've got it here that you sing this at the beginning of every show. So Gilbert, without further ado, we'll get you to pour that out, you crazy man.
Na 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 na. Ba ma 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 ma. Oh yeah. Who wants to grow up? Who wants responsibility? Oh no, not me. Who wants to show up and work until you're 93?
There we go.
Yes.
I'm learning the words.
Now everybody says you're running wild. The teacher's calling you a problem. Ooh. Break for a commercial.
No. Well, yes, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. He is here, and he is, wow, he's a something. He's something. He's going on, yeah.
Same thing.
Yes. Oh, well.
It's about fucking time. Move on.
Yeah.
Yes.
All righty. Well, we'll move on. So today on the big show, as I told you, we're the Japanese army, and we're not doing very good with Snowzilla. No, we're not. No. In fact, as March roars in, Boston's snow record is poised to fall this year. More than 40% of the nation was under a winter storm watch, warning, or advisory today as an unrelenting winter plowed into March. This time, some areas of the Midwest have been spared. The worst of winter are in on the action now as well, but Boston won't be neglected and could see its seasonal snowfall record fall. Yeah. The calendar says March, but I think Mother Nature thinks it's still February or even January. Damn it. Yeah. Linda Lamb at the Weather Channel told us that the blizzard warnings have been posted in parts of Colorado, Minnesota, and South Dakota. A slew of winter weather advisories have also been hoisted across the vast swath of the Midwest and Northeast for light to moderate snow and ice accumulation, she said, estimating that more than 136 million people will be in its path. Snow accumulations are expected as far south as Nashville, Little Rock, and North Texas, Kynes said. A band of snow across much of Minnesota was almost welcome, the National Weather Service, Jim Taggart, told us. He said the snowfall this season has been about half of normal in much of Minnesota, which is extremely strange. I don't get that at all. But he says if somebody likes winter weather and they want to go out, they'll be happy. Yeah, the picture is a little different in Denver, of course, where KUSA-TV reported that up to 5 inches of snow is forecast for the metro area. Denver set a record of February snow last month with more than 22.5 inches, KUSA said. The snowiest March on record, 2003, when 35.2 inches fell. Enough ice to cause slippery travel time for most of Tuesday is expected in cities such as St. Louis, Chicago, Indianapolis, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and, of course, right here in New York City and Boston. Boston is within 4 inches of its seasonal snowfall record after being pounded with 104 inches so far this year. And a 1-2 punch of storms is headed for the city tonight and then Wednesday night into Thursday. The record is in jeopardy, very much so. Jim said. So there you go. There's no reprieve there. We're all going to die, Louis.
It's just life, and I love doing it. I love doing these kind of stories anyway.
Yes.
Yes.
George, we let Gilbert do his little song, but we didn't get the lowdown, the rundown, as it were. Give us the lowdown on George Takei, Sulu, Captain, Lieutenant.
I'm George Takei, and when I'm walking down the street, people shout out, "Hey, Sulu!"
Yeah.
So I'm known more as Sulu than as George Takei, which is what I really am.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Just checking, you know.
You are a douchebag.
I know.
I'd like to have that as my slogan in life.
Oh, would you? You'd just be a douchebag there, Gilbert?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we can go with that. The douchebag himself, you know.
But it's like you hear stuff.
Oh, yes, very much so. I've heard a lot of stuff, actually. I don't know what anything has to do with anything like that, but there you go.
You know, I'm the most talented guy in this room.
Yes, you are.
Break for a commercial.
Yeah. I'd love to break for a commercial, actually, and never, ever come back.
Yeah.
What do you do?
He called me, and he called me, and he kept calling me, and I wouldn't answer the phone.
Yeah, I know. Louis, what did you need $25,000 for, man?
I need to try and raise $25,000 to enter in the Academy Awards, and I think it's a fantastic risk because we have a tremendous chance. There's about 200 members that vote on it, and you have to give them a DVD now.
Right. Yeah, I heard something about that. Yeah, a DVD. What do you know?
Now here's a segue.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Yes.
Come on.
I've been on enough radio shows to know that in the middle of an answer, the guy is like checking the boards and looking over notes and talking to other people. Yes. See? Now you're impressed.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. But I do more than all that. You know, I check the boards and I talk to other people and I do this and that. But I also, check out, of course, Jenny in the booth. Yeah.
Yes.
There you go. Yeah.
I'd like to have that as my slogan in life.
Checking out Jenny in the booth, yeah?
Yes.
Oh, boy. Well, before we get into our next story, which is the 911 dispatchers, of course, they say they're testing out this new thing, but, I don't know. I think, of course, it's going to ultimately end up in a mandatory thing, and that makes me answer or ask a question. Kind of an interesting question. We'll get to that, of course, after the commercial. But before the commercial, the nation, of course, is looking at the mother of Tamir Rice, who is now, of course, publicly seeking an apology for her son's death. And, of course, if you remember, this was a story we covered back in November of the 12-year-old black boy in a park waving a gun around, threatening people, swearing at people, putting it back in his waistband, being all homie G-like and all that good stuff. And, the mother was apparently shocked after 45 minutes to an hour of this behavior in this park, most of it caught on video by numerous people, when the police finally did respond and shot him dead. Of course, the mother wants an apology for this. And, of course, the city and the courts have already ruled that there was no wrongdoing by police officers here, completely following policy and procedure. And, it wouldn't matter if the kid was black, white, or green. You're waving a gun around a park threatening people. That's the kind of response you can pretty much use your common sense and expect. But that's not good enough for her. She wants an apology on her son Tamir's death. And you just think about this, and you think about all that's happened, and you think about what she's actually asking for, I think she should be asking the apology of her son, or indeed of herself. You know, the son is dead by his own actions and own choices. But if you want to look further into that, of course, who taught him the choices and actions? Well, that would be the mother. So I guess she's really asking for an apology to herself. Yeah.
You are a douchebag.
Well, you keep that in your hat, and
Yes.
It's about fucking time. Move on.
Well, okay, I'm going to. I just wanted to get that in there because I don't think it's fair that this even gets, a minute of news time by any of the major media sources. And, of course, they're all carrying it. Yes, including Twitter. But, yeah, she's demanding an apology from, of course, the city and the police for responding to actions her son took. So there you go. There it is in a nutshell. Take it for what you will. That's my 2 cents right there. You are a card, my friend. Yeah?
Break for a commercial.
Yeah. All right, well, we're going to do exactly that. We're going to break for a commercial, and when we come back, we'll get into 911, and I don't know, something could be scary here. Back in 2.
You've got it locked to New York's best talk, HTLA Radio 1.
What if there was a coffee that was sourced from some of the world's most renowned growing regions, abundant with rich, fertile soil? What if this coffee was picked at the perfect moment, then packed meticulously and shipped carefully to be roasted under the watchful eye of coffee masters? What if it was expertly blended, ground, and sealed, ensuring maximum flavor and freshness, then brewed in small batches and always served fresh within 20 minutes, just the way you like it? Now, what if this coffee just happened to be the coffee you already know and love? Tim Hortons. Always fresh, always great tasting coffee.
Man, I've been to a lot of places over these past 50 years. Seen the whole true north strong and free. 'Cause I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere. I've been to Cooksville, Stouffville, Baynesville, Bowmanville, Bonnieville, Unionville, Oakville, Dunville, Brockville, Boucherville, Melville, Drummondville, Kentville, Grenville, Morinville, Maryville, Parksville, Stephenville, Sackville, Spring Hill, Westville, Walkerville, hanging on a windowsill. Hey! He said, wow, that's a lot of places. I said, hang on, there's more. I've been to Moncton, Picton, Shannon, Vernon, Stellarton, Hamilton, Nipigon, Nobleton, Yorkton, Brighton, Bolton, Beaverton, Brandon, Edmonton, Walkerton, Wyerton, Granby, Miramichi, Charlottetown, Burnaby, Yellowknife, Whitehorse, Corner Brook, none of it. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. I crossed the prairies bare, man. I breathed the mountain air. I've traveled, I've done my share, man. I've been everywhere, man. Check it out. Ottawa, Wawa, Mattawa, Chippewa, Moose Jaw, Oshawa.
When we arrived at our hotel in New York, the porter was so incredibly careless with our bags. And the room they gave us, it was beautiful. A broom closet. But the worst part was the shower. My wife drying herself with the Egyptian cotton towels. Shower curtain defined that whole vacation for her. Don't just visit New York. Visit TripAdvisor New York.
With millions of reviews, a visit to TripAdvisor makes any destination better.
Some said the U.S. has lost its innovative power. We said America is lighting the way as the innovation nation. Singular insights, superior execution. That's the power of global connections. Bank of America Merrill Lynch. Voted top global research firm 2011, 12, and 13.
I've been so inspired by being in New York because everything from what people are wearing on the street to the way they're interacting with each other, to drive through the West Village at night and you see a couple kissing on the street, or you see someone fighting outside their apartment, or you see so much humanity on a daily basis that even if you're not inspired by your own life that day, you can be inspired by someone else's life.
You got that long hair, slicked back, white t-shirt, and I got that good girl face and a tight little skirt. And when we go crashing down, we come back every time, 'cause we never go out of style. We never go out of style. Take me out.
There's only one place to get more Taylor.
We're New York's best talk radio, HTLA Radio 1.
Yes, we are back.
Thank you for listening and support the show for the love of God.
It's an absolute madhouse here at HTLA Studio 2, of course, with the onset or the onslaught or what have you of Gilbert Gottfried. Yeah?
Yes.
Well, yes, we are back on the big program today, of course, that being coffee and cigarettes for the Tuesday Espresso. 3:23 in the afternoon right now in New York City, still 31 degrees Central Park and cloudy, and we actually break freezing tomorrow. We go up to 43 as the high, but then, of course, way back down to 26 for Thursday and tons more snow. Yeah. I don't know, Gilbert. I don't know. I understand you walk everywhere in the city, and, or you take the subway, and, that's how you roll. You don't really spend a whole lot of money.
Yes.
No, you don't spend a whole lot of money, yeah.
I'd like to have that as my slogan in life.
Oh, there we go. That's true. That's true. You should have that as your slogan in your life there. That would totally work for you, I think.
Here's a name out of nowhere. But I don't know. I just thought, because she's really of, more modern but still old Hollywood. Raquel Welch.
Oh, yeah.
Really hot.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
We'll give you that.
Bullshitters, never keep your mouth shut. Always hustling, always looking for something to do and putting things together. That's American. Look how they took the country away from England.
Oh, that's true. That's true, Louis. Can't dispel the truth right there. That's exactly what's going on with that.
That's the famous story about Jerry Lee Lewis. You heard that story, haven't you? Sitting behind his desk at Paramount, talking with big executives and TV people, and all of a sudden the chick pops up underneath, wipes off her mouth, and walks out the door, and Jerry doesn't bat an eye.
Yes, we've heard that story. Absolutely.
The music is fantastic. Oh, you got to hear it.
Oh, I know. I'll hear it. Don't you worry. Well, coming back on the big program today, of course, we gave you the top story, of course, this lovely day, the 3rd of March, which is unrelenting snow dooming the entire planet. But, we got some more stuff today, too. We do. And one of these stories we got today is about some 911 dispatchers. Yeah, in Oregon. And get this, they're testing the use of treadmills at the 911 call center to see if it helps with their health and concentration. Yeah. I know what you're thinking. It's not probably likely to work at all, but at first, it was kind of different, says John Mason, a dispatcher in Washington County, Oregon, west of Portland. But after a while of doing it, it just kind of feels like everything else. I don't know. Did we bend John over often, or what? Yeah, it just feels like everything else. It's all right. Just do it.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. And there you go. Okay. Thanks, John. Well, dispatchers started using treadmills at their workstations on a volunteer basis 6 months ago. The machines have a maximum speed of 2 miles per hour. Quote, "I don't think I've ever broken a sweat," says dispatcher Bill Jolly. At 2 miles per hour, it's a pretty leisurely pace, but you do stay moving, he says. Oregon Health and Science University is conducting a study on the effects on reaction, mood, and health of emergency call center employees using these treadmills. It is too early to determine the results of the study, says Dr. Kent Anger of OHSU. There's a growing number of health studies that point to the danger of sitting too long at a stretch. Oh my God, I'm going to die. I'm in radio. I'm just going to sit here and die because or I guess no, they're going to make me get on a treadmill. Well, you know what, HTLA? I'll get on a treadmill the day you have Jenny stripped down to a Brazilian bathing suit, oiling herself up and rubbing herself all over the booth. How about that? Yeah.
You are a douchebag.
Yes, I am, and that's the way we roll here.
Break for a commercial.
No. Well, there's a growing number of health studies that point to the danger of sitting too long at a stretch. Some companies provide standing desks for their cubicle-bound workers. In Oregon, several dispatchers said they started feeling better after using the treadmills, and some lost weight, apparently. Dispatchers said that the exercise helped with concentration, awareness, and relieved stress. Obviously, you are working, but you feel like you've kind of worked out in a sense, says dispatcher Katie Fisher, who logged just under 10 miles in one shift. Wow, that's an awful short shift. 10 miles, 2 miles an hour. What, she works 5 hours a day? Is that really? 5 hours a day? Huh?
Same thing.
Okay. Yeah. 5 hours. Okay, that's a tough day. The dispatchers explained that walking on the treadmill doesn't interrupt emergency calls. They have the ability to stop the equipment at any given time. The biggest concern for one dispatcher is the potential embarrassment of a misstep. What if I fall off it, laughs Fisher. How do I recover from that? Yeah, I don't know, guys. I'm just thinking, this could maybe be better accomplished in, maybe a less stressful and less important work environment. Yeah?
Power, that's why power is corrupt, and it is. We see it every day. We see it in every job. It's the same thing.
Yeah. Gilbert, what do you think?
I'm the most talented guy in this room.
Yes, you are. Okay, we'll leave you to that. And George,
I wasn't expecting that reaction.
No, yeah, Gilbert's. Yeah, who knows what he's gonna do? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. There you go. Okay. Well, all right. I think. Here's what I think. Of course, what I think doesn't matter to anybody, but that's okay. I kind of think that, why don't you try it in some state government offices or something? Something where if somebody trips and falls and smashes their chin on the desk and, dies or has a 911 incident themselves, they won't impede the other calls going on. Just a kind of an idea there. I don't know. I'm here to just try this out.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're going to do it. We're going to get into the meat of it today on Coffee and Cigarettes. Yes, 3:30 p.m., which means I got to get into the meat of it with what, you might ask? Well, same-sex goddamn marriage. That's... you pound for pound, dollar for dollar, you can't get any better than same-sex marriage, right? Yeah. Well, here's the question. Why do you oppose same-sex marriage? That's a good question. Indiana University sociologist Brian Powell posed this question to hundreds of people across the nation as part of a research project. He was curious to see if what people say actually matches the legal arguments that are being made to justify the bans on same-sex marriage. The legal arguments are rooted in public policy considerations. The public responses decidedly were not. From his survey results, published recently in the sociological journal Social Currents, here's one response that reflected the majority of opposition to same-sex marriage. Quote, "Because I don't believe God intended them to be that way." Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. Another one was, "It's beastly." And a third person said, "Well, they're sinners." Yeah, well, Powell acknowledges that there's nothing wrong with showing moral disapproval. People have the right to their beliefs and values, he said, but if public opinion, either through pressure on lawmakers or directly at the ballot box, drives public policy, Powell's research suggests that the real motivation for banning same-sex marriage is actually moral disapproval over homosexuality. Now, what do you think, George? Yeah?
Well, actually, what shaped my life is what happened to all Japanese Americans during the Second World War.
Right.
Pearl Harbor was bombed, and overnight, American citizens of Japanese ancestry were looked at with suspicion and fear and outright hatred, simply because we happened to look like the people that bombed Pearl Harbor.
Right.
And we were put in barbed wire American prison camps. They called them internment camps, but they were really, for our rights and purposes, concentration camps. There were sentry towers with the machine guns pointed at us, and when I made the night runs from the barracks to the latrine, searchlights followed us. But for me, as a 5-year-old at that time, I thought it was kind of nice that the searchlights lit the way for me to pee. So I adjusted. Children are amazingly adaptable, and that became the normality in my life. Lining up 3 times a day to eat in a noisy mess hall, complain about the lousy food, became routine. And when the war ended, we came back to Los Angeles. Many people did not, because they were so embittered by the experience on the West Coast.
Yeah.
And as I grew up, as a teenager, I started reading civics books and history books, and I saw nothing in that about my childhood experience.
Right.
But I read the glorious chapters about our democracy. And so I engaged my father in long discussions after dinner, trying to reconcile, our imprisonment during the war and all the ideals that I've been reading about.
Yeah.
And my father said to me, "Our democracy is a people's democracy. It can be as great as a people can be, but it's also as fallible as people are. And our democracy is vitally dependent on good people being actively engaged in the process." And shortly after that, he took me to the Adlai Stevenson for President headquarters, and he volunteered me. And that's how I got introduced to political activism. It was a lot of fun, but by that time I was starting to understand something about our democracy.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yes.
Break for a commercial.
Well, no, we can't break for a commercial yet, Gilbert. We're still in the thick of things here. Yeah?
Yes.
Yes. And I'm checking my board and all that good stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Well. Yes. There we go. Moral disapproval over homosexuality. Yes. And that, he says, could present a particular challenge for supporters of traditional marriage. Moral disapproval doesn't make a valid legal case. In fact, same-sex marriage proponents argue that that would be unconstitutional. That's why the long-standing courtroom debate over same-sex marriage has begun to address a particular legal term, animus. Animus is the notion that a law has no compelling public interest and is driven merely by moral disapproval so strong that it causes harm to a group that's viewed as inferior. In the case of same-sex marriage, proponents argue that harm is to deny gays and lesbians the basic right to marry. Quote, "This isn't about forcing people to believe or not believe in something," said IU law professor Steve Sanders. "This is saying marriage is controlled by government and government shouldn't discriminate against people for flimsy reasons." Well, Sanders is co-counsel on an amicus brief from the Human Rights Campaign that claims state bans on same-sex marriage are unconstitutional because they're based on animus. The brief will be filed in the Supreme Court same-sex marriage case, which is poised to become the definitive ruling on the issue. But those fighting same-sex marriage adamantly disagree that their stance is fueled by animus. Such an argument, they say, places blame on every person who supported same-sex marriage bans as having evil intent. If animus motivated Indiana's former same-sex marriage ban, says Kurt Smith of the Indiana Family Institute, that means that 150 legislators, a majority of whom supported it, and former Governor Frank O'Bannon had to have hatred for gays in their hearts when they voted for and supported that bill. I think that's a wrong analysis, but it's also a tremendous discredit to the men and women who serve in the legislature and, of course, the governor's office. Animus has become a word grossly misapplied, he added.
The trick is using that word in a conversation, in your writing. It's the use of that word that makes it your own.
Right.
He does a tour de force.
Well, he may do a tour de force, but he's just another opinion. Yes. Instead, he points to specific public policy considerations that traditional marriages produce, quote, "wonderful benefits for couples, society, and children." And he thinks research will show same-sex relationships do not bear out the same effects. There's an interesting statement to that, George. I think that's yeah. Okay, you can do that. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, the proponents of same-sex marriage argue that the public policy arguments are flimsy at best. For example, one such public policy argument is that marriage promotes responsible procreation and thus limits the number of children born accidentally. But since same-sex couples can't naturally reproduce, they're excluded from that definition of marriage. Well, it seems reasonable enough to me. Judge Richard Posner addressed this in the recent 7th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals majority opinion that maintained same-sex marriage bans were unconstitutional in states including Indiana and Wisconsin. Posner wrote that if responsible procreation were real justification for banning same-sex marriages, the state also wouldn't allow people who are infertile to marry. Interesting. He added, heterosexuals get drunk and pregnant, producing unwanted children. Their reward is to be allowed to marry. Yeah. That's okay. Homosexual couples, of course, do not produce unwanted children. Their reward is to be not denied the right to marry. Go figure, he says. Well, that policy argument, it's apparently so full of holes that it can't be taken seriously. He concluded that the states failed to show a valid policy interest for discriminatory bans on same-sex marriage. Sanders, the IU law professor, explained further it states merely the want to protect marriage by denying same-sex couples from wedding. Then why also refuse to recognize gay marriages from other states? Prohibit civil unions and deny domestic partnership benefits. Well, here's something I would say to Mr. Sanders, the good old law professor there. If something is legal in one state, but something is illegal in another state, and you move to said state where it is illegal, you can't expect them to all of a sudden magically make it illegal. That's like going to Colombia, bringing back bags of cocaine, and snorting rails all up and down the highway here in Indiana. You can't... You can't do that. If it's illegal here but not there, you can't do it there and then bring it all back and do it here. You just can't.
You are a douchebag.
Well, you call me what you will, but...
Break for a commercial.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be a good time to break for a commercial, but of course, we're not due for one for another 5 minutes yet, so no, can't. We're screwed. Well, truth is assuredly complicated. Let's just say that. But if that sounds like animus, not everyone or court decision concurs. The Sixth Court of Appeals, which oversees states including Ohio, did not agree that animus existed in its evaluation of same-sex marriage bans. The court actually upheld such bans, a decision out of chorus with other circuits that propelled the issue to be heard this summer, of course, in the U.S. Supreme Court. For most people, read the Sixth Circuit majority opinion authored by Judge Jeffrey Sutton. Quote, whether for or against the amendment, the truth of why they did what they did is assuredly complicated, making it impossible to pin down any one consideration as opposed to a rough aggregation of factors as motivating them. Sutton also refused to impugn traditional marriage supporters for wanting to uphold what has been a long-time social norm that has only recently been thrown into flux. If no less unfair to paint the proponents of the measures as a monolithic group of hate-mongers than it is to paint the opponents of a monolithic group trying to undo American families, Sutton wrote. And, of course, that goes actually to Kate's whole argument. You know, what about my right to raise my child in a world where I don't have to explain to him why Bobby has two fathers and Susie has two mothers? See where we're going there. Yeah? Anybody?
Yes.
God, are you guys awake? Holy...
It's about fucking time. Move on. Move on.
All right. Well, now that I've secured your lucidness... Backlash or fewer fears? Powell's sociology research notes that public opinion on same-sex marriage has been changing, and he gives a nod to some interesting questions that could tendril off the concept of animus as the debate moves forward. What happens to public opinion if same-sex couples gain more legal rights? And will it result in a public backlash? Or will it subside fears and animosity towards same-sex couples? Now, those are interesting questions. I, for one, think that, the animosity out there towards same-sex couples, the animosity is not because they're trying to get laws passed in their favor. The animosity is not because, the others are trying to stop them. It's animosity based on a number of things, and from their own survey there, it looks a lot like religion has a big part to play as well. So you got the religious guys that are all like, "Oh, he's a sinner; it's against God."
Yes.
So if you have that, you've got to ask some other questions. There's a lot bigger issues that are involved here. And I don't think animosity is just going to go away because laws are passed. And actually...
Use power. That's why power is corrupt, and it is. We see it every day. We see it in every job. It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, sure. I just don't think it's going to... I don't think it's going to go anywhere. Or go away, I should say.
You know why, Chris? Because you're such a control freak, you don't want anyone to tell you what to do.
Really? Is that? Yeah? You think so,
yes.
Huh?
No, I don't.
Oh, God, Gilbert, you got to stop that laugh. It's killing me.
Break for a commercial.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, there that is, and who knows where we go from there. Well, we're going to go for our second commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to tell you about the Boston bombing jury, which is finally chosen, and, of course, the trial to start tomorrow. Also some other interesting little tidbits for this Tuesday. apparently we're more genetically like our fathers, a recent study finds. So we'll be back in 2 minutes and check that out.
You've got it locked to New York's best talk, HTLA Radio 1.
Man, I've been to a lot of places over these past 50 years. Seen the whole true north strong and free. 'Cause I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere. I've been to Cooksville, Stouffville, Bainesville, Bowmanville, Bonnieville, Unionville, Oakville, Dunville, Brockville, Boucherville, Melville, Drummondville, Kentville, Grenville, Morinville, Maryville, Parksville, Stephenville, Sackville, Spring Hill, Westville, Walkerville, hanging on a windowsill. Hey! He said, wow, that's a lot of places. I said, hang on, there's more. I've been to Moncton, Picton, Shannon, Vernon, Stellarton, Hamilton, Nipigon, Nobleton, Yorkton, Brighton, Bolton, Beaverton, Brandon, Edmonton, Walkerton, Wyerton, Granby, Miramichi, Charlottetown, Burnaby, Yellowknife, Whitehorse, Corner Brook, none of it. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. I crossed the prairies bare, man. I breathed the mountain air. I've traveled, I've done my share, man. I've been everywhere, man. Check it out. Ottawa, Wawa, Mattawa, Chippewa, Moose Jaw, Oshawa.
It could be 7 in the morning. Or 10 at night.
In Chilliwack, BC.
Or St. Peter's, Nova Scotia.
It could be Michelle.
Or Mark.
Or Jen.
But whenever, wherever you order that cup of Tim Hortons Premium Blend Coffee,
You know that it's always
always
fresh.
From Newfoundland and Labrador to Vancouver Island, Tim Hortons, a coffee all our own.
You walked into the hotel as a 5. But when she saw the room, you turned into a weird 7. When she saw the rooftop pool, you went to 11. You two should probably get a room. Oh, that's right. You already did. At Planet Earth's #1 accommodation site, Booking.com. Booking.yeah.
Some said the U.S. has lost its innovative power. We said America is lighting the way as the innovation nation. Singular insights, superior execution. That's the power of global connections. Bank of America Merrill Lynch. Voted top global research firm 2011, 12, and 13.
I've been so inspired by being in New York because everything from what people are wearing on the street to the way they're interacting with each other, to drive through the West Village at night and you see a couple kissing on the street, or you see someone fighting outside their apartment, or you see so much humanity on a daily basis that even if you're not inspired by your own life that day, you can be inspired by someone else's life.
You got that long hair, slicked back, white t-shirt, and I got that good girl face and a tight little skirt. And when we go crashing down, we come back every time, 'cause we never go out of style. We never go out of style. Take me out.
There's only one place to get more Taylor. We're New York's best talk radio, HTLA Radio 1.
Oh, yes. Both the Nazis on Hogan's Heroes were Jews.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, what do you do when you live in that shoe? Hey,
You know, I'm the most talented guy in this room.
Yes. All right, well, there you go, and you're back, of course, with your afternoon coffee and cigarettes with the douchebag. Yeah.
You are a douchebag.
I know. But what do you do when you live in that old shoe? You just suck it up, you take it. I think it's that love-hate thing, yeah?
Well, okay, I think, see, this is something like a lot of people don't understand, but I know you understand it, and like in I think we both have that fascination of show business that it's a love-hate relationship.
Sure, yeah.
Maybe it's that love-hate.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it could be love-hate. It could be hate-love. Who knows? But you are, of course, tuned to HTLA Radio 1, New York's best talk, of course, this afternoon for coffee and cigarettes, the Tuesday Espresso. And today is, of course, 31 degrees right now in the big city. And, 3:51 p.m. And we got rain now started in Central Park. Kind of weird. Should be freezing rain, shouldn't it, at 31? But what the hell do I know? I'm not the weatherman. Yeah. I'm not the weatherman at all.
Break for a commercial.
Yes, welcome to Coffee and Cigarettes, the commercial. Yeah. That's all we do here is nothing but commercials.
It's about fucking time. Move on.
Okay, well... All right, we'll get on to it here. The Boston bombing jury has actually been chosen. That's the big news right now. And the trial, of course, is to start tomorrow. This comes almost 2 years after the Boston Marathon bombing. The trial of Dekozar Sarniev is set to begin with opening statements Wednesday. After 2 months of jury selection, a panel of 12 jurors and 6 alternates was seated today. Sarniev, 21 years old, faces 30 charges in connection with twin bombings at the finish line of the marathon April 15th, 2013. 3 people were killed and more than 260 were injured. He's also charged with the killing of a Massachusetts Institute of Technology police officer days after the bombings. Yeah.
I've been on enough radio shows to know that in the middle of an answer, the guy is like checking the boards and looking over notes and talking to other people. Yes. Yeah. See? Now you're impressed.
Yeah, but you see, here's the thing, though, that you have to understand, Gilbert, is I wasn't in the middle of getting a question answered, per se. No, we weren't doing that. You know,
I lived in Greenwich Village for a while when I first started out as an actor.
Same thing. Yeah.
Jesus. Okay. Well, if the jury convicts Sarniev, the trial will move on to a second phase, of course, to determine his punishment. The only 2 options available for the jury are life in prison or the death penalty. Sarniev's defense lawyers tried 4 times to have the trial moved out of Boston, obviously arguing that the scale of the attack was so vast that every potential juror would already know the case on a personal level. It was the largest act of terrorism in Boston's history, and it effects ripples across the nation to this day. The death penalty has been outlawed since 1984 in Massachusetts, but Sarniev could be sentenced to death because he's being tried in federal, not state court. A 2013 Boston Globe poll found that just 33% of Bostonians believe Sarniev should get the death penalty if he's convicted. Polls from the University of Massachusetts Amherst found more support statewide in 2013 and again in 2014, with 59% of respondents saying that Sarniev should get the death penalty if he is found guilty. If a jury can't reach a consensus on any counts in the guilt phase, the result is a mistrial and the case is tried again. In the penalty phase, a hung jury would mean life in prison with no chance of parole if Sarniev has been convicted on the most serious of charges. If any case, Massachusetts jury behind a death sentence, this might be it, according to the 30-count indictment. Sarniev conspired with his older brother Tamerane, who was killed as they tried to escape police, to detonate 2 inexpensive pressure cooker bombs that wrought havoc near the marathon finish line. 17 of the counts carry the death penalty. The trial is sure to conjure memories of horrific carnage in Boston's upscale Back Bay neighborhood when the bombs exploded. A barrage of shrapnel tore into spectators' legs and feet, knocking people to the ground and causing chaos. Scores of victims were taken to area hospitals where they had surgery and were treated for burns and ruptured eardrums, etc. 2 women in their 20s were killed, as was a child 8 years old, Martin Richards. At least 16 people had limbs amputated. When bombing victim Karen Broussard of Nashua, New Hampshire, ponders the toll of that day, she thinks about the lower body injuries that still afflict her, her husband and her daughter, and because others have it even worse, she sees a death sentence as being a necessity for justice. Sarniev gets to visit with his family and have joy in his life, but Martin Richards' family no longer gets to do that, Broussard says. That's not just. Some people are convinced that Sarniev, an ethnic Chechen who came to the United States as a child refugee and became naturalized a U.S. citizen, was involved in the bombings. Skeptics say he's being scapegoated by the government that needs someone to blame and is pinning culpability on a pair of Russian-speaking Muslim brothers in the crowd. Yeah, don't just think that government is holy government and always says the truth. This is from Alina Taylor of Savannah, Georgia. She said this outside the Boston courthouse in December. Who needed to start war? Who needed to make Muslims look bad? Not Dozkar. Why would he do this? Taylor's son-in-law, Ibrahim Todashev, was a friend of Tamerlane Sarniev's. Todashev was killed by an FBI agent during questioning after he allegedly tried to attack the agent. Observers say prosecutors are well positioned to prevail after they present evidence including items gathered from a 15-square block crime scene and a cavalcade of witnesses. They have a very strong case, says Christopher Dearborn, a criminal defense attorney and a professor at Suffolk University Law School. They have a ton of direct evidence, factual evidence. They have videotapes of people dropping things off. They have very powerful witness testimony, and they have forensics all on their side. Defense attorneys are likely to paint Tamerlane Dokar as the true Islamic radical, a violent man with a coercive power over his intimated younger brother. This is from Michael Coyne, Dean of the Massachusetts School of Law in Andover, Massachusetts. A jury might want to spare the young man's life if he appears to have even been overpowered and shows remorse, he said. But seeking mercy on the grounds of having been manipulated, co-conspirator, could be a hard case to make after arguing not guilty now for weeks. Yeah, so not a good situation, dealio there for good old Sarniev. That's not, yeah. Oh my God, what is with you guys? You're so morbid. You're terrible.
Bullshitters, never keep your mouth shut. Always hustling. Always looking for something to do and putting things together. That's a American. Look how they took the country away from England.
Yeah. Well, that's what I get for, I guess, bringing serious news stories to my panel of guest hosts here.
It seemed like Dean Martin was uncomfortable, too.
Well, he just hasn't had enough booze.
You are a douchebag.
I know. I'm okay with that, George. I'm absolutely okay with that. Well, moving on to something that affects us all. Yes, right here. We are genetically more like our fathers, a recent study finds. Like father, like son, and also like daughter, according to new research. The University of North Carolina School of Medicine released a study today indicating mammals are genetically more like their fathers than their mothers, according to a statement from UNC. Specifically, the research shows that although we inherit equal amounts of genetic mutations from our parents, the mutations that make us who we are, instead of some other person, we actually use more of the DNA that we inherit from our dads, the statement says. Researchers tracked genetic mutations in 9 kinds of mice bred from 3 genetically diverse inbred strains. They found that the offspring's gene expressions were more heavily influenced by the male parent. Yeah, this kind of research could help those in the medical field better understand inherited diseases, the statement says. If inherited from the mother, the bad mutation wouldn't be expressed as much as it would be if it was inherited from the father. So the same bad mutation would have different consequences in disease if it were inherited from the mother or from the father, UNC says. So there you go. If you're prone to athlete's foot, it's your dad's fault.
I'd like to have that as my slogan in life.
Well, we'll change your slogan to that, of course.
Break for a commercial.
No. You guys are insane. But hey, that's okay because we've got a new civilization to worry about. That's right. A long-lost civilization has been found in the rainforest. Another one, yes. Have you ever heard of the long-lost White City? Huh? Or how about this? Have you heard of the City of the Monkey God? Yeah. Well, a group of experts who entered a Honduran rainforest in search of that emerged last Wednesday saying they have found the lost city. One that's totally untouched, they add. This, of course, comes to us from National Geographic. As writer Douglas Preston explains, archaeologists no longer believe in the existence of Ciudad Blanca, as described in the legends, but suspect there are many such cities secreted away in this rainforest, which taken together represents something far more important, they say. This represents a lost civilization. This find points to that an unnamed, scarcely studied civilization that apparently flourished 1,000 years ago and then disappeared. Among the exposed remains are an earthen pyramid, mounds, large plazas, sculptures, and ceremonial seats. More may still be yet buried, and a team member carbon dated that was found to AD 1000 to AD 1400. The undisturbed context is very unique, says archaeologist Chris Fisher. He tells National Geographic, which explains that he found objects many poking through the earth have not been excavated. The hunt for the White City, the first recorded mention of which may lie in a 1526 letter from Herman Cortez to Spain's King Charles V, allegedly made headway in 1940 when the explorer Theodore Madre emerged from Mosquitia rainforest in the huge cache of apparent White City artifacts, but he killed himself before divulging the location, of course.
I lived in Greenwich Village for a while when I first started out as an actor.
Of course you did. Yes, thank you. That helps us so much here. Yes. So there you go. The lost city, the lost White City has apparently now indeed been found, and I'm sure they'll be sending our own Indiana Jones in as soon as humanly possible. Yeah.
You know, I'm the most talented guy in this room. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to say that's it. You're the most talented guy in this room, and what else? Yeah.
He needs love, Chris. Come on.
I know.
You got to dispense more love from yourself. All these people are hurting here.
All right. Well, I'm going to dispense the love. Gilbert, you are the man. You're the most talented one in this room. Absolutely. See? There.
He was always nice to me.
There you go. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, baby. Well, we are pretty much out of time for today on the Big Coffee and Cigarettes Shoe. Yeah. I'd like to thank my guest, of course, the one, the only, Louis Lawless. Thanks for being here, bud.
You know how to spell my last name on the check, right? It's Louis Lawless.
Absolutely. Thank you, the one, the only, Gilbert Godfrey, of course, for being here again today.
Thank you for listening and support the show for the love of God.
And thank you, George, for being here.
I've enjoyed it thoroughly. It has been a fantastic experience.
There we go. All right.
Break for a commercial.
Well, we're not going to break for a commercial. It's time to say goodbye to the nice folks, and we'll catch you all here tomorrow at 3 o'clock Eastern for another Coffee and Cigarettes, the Wednesday Grinder, in hopes that we will have a much, much better news offering for you. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. There you go. I don't know. Kind of a slim day today. What are you going to do? Reminder to check out HTLARadio1.com. That's the number one, just like us. For all your entertainment show needs there, you can find them all there. Got a bunch of shows for you and some new ones coming. That Morning Boner is coming soon. As for me and Jenny, And we'll see you tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern, for another Coffee and Cigarettes.
Break for a commercial.
We're New York's best talk radio, HTLA Radio 1.